Replaced a timing belt in a Toyota 4Runner with the 3.4 V6. Let me show you what's going on here. Pretty simple to do. It's not very complicated, but let me show you. So we got the there's the old timing belt that's in there currently. So we had to take off the fan shroud, fan pulleys, belts, basic stuff, that kind of thing. The crankshaft nut was on there so tight that I had to heat it. So if you have to use a little bit of propane or something like that to heat it up to get it off, then go ahead and just, you know, heat the actual bolt itself and then take it out. But you will need to take the radiator out. You can leave the condenser in here for the AC, but you will need to take the radiator out in order to get a impact in there to take that off. That's the only way to get those off is with an impact, air impact or electric impact, but electric impacts are too big to get in there, so an air impact would work the best. But anyways, you can see it's a dual overhead cam setup, so you can see there's a timing mark here. Very easy to tell where everything goes. You can see right there too as well. There's a little notch and it's marked with a little bit of paint. Same with this side here and there. And then down on the crankshaft, it's also marked too, and I'll show you that marking here in a little bit. This one has an internal water pump, as you can see right here. This is the water pump and housing back in here, and then there's the thermostat right here. So I would recommend putting a new water pump in there while you're in here. Of course, the water pump's going bad on this one too, so we're going to replace that. These are very expensive as of today's date, which is June 16th, I believe. No, June 18th. This here, these two pulleys, this one and this one down here, was $160 just for those two pulleys. Very expensive. So over here, as you can see, we didn't have to pull off a whole lot. The fan, the bottom timing cover, the external pulley for the drive belts, timing case housing, well, not housing but cover, and in order to get the AC belt loose and stuff, you have to take the skid plate off from the bottom in order to loose the idler pulley on the bottom for that, and then the fan shroud and the radiator. So that's what the process is so far. I've got about an hour and a half or so into it, about an hour, not too long. So I'm going to go ahead and take this apart, put the new belt on, get it all timed up, and I'll show you. Okay, let me show you on the crankshaft, which you've got to line up. It's kind of not real hard to see, but if you're looking from the top and everything, it's kind of tricky to see. But as you can see right there, there's the dot on the actual sprocket on the crank, and then there's the timing or the front housing mark that points down right there, and then you just want to get those lined up along with the top when you put it back together, and you'll be in good shape. So let's go ahead and remove. Okay, we got the belt off. It's pretty easy. Basically, you just remove this top pulley off, and basically it loosens most everything up. There's the actual hydraulic tensioner down there. The other pulley, we're going to be replacing both of them. And there's one of the new ones. But anytime you replace a timing belt, you always want to take the old one out if it's not broke, of course. If it's broke, then you're probably dealing with a whole lot more issues. But anyways, you always want to compare them before putting them back in for width, the type of teeth. Some are round, some are square, so you want to make sure that you compare the belts. You also want to stretch them out together next to each other with both hands. Since I'm holding the camera, I can't do that, but if you take them here with one hand and here with the other, and you pull them tight lengthwise to make sure they're the same distance. It's very important, so that way you don't put the wrong belt. Water pump out, and as you can tell, it's definitely bad. And usually what you can do is you can spin the, see if I'm going to be able to do this here. If you spin this and it makes a bunch of noise, such as that, and if it's loose, as you can see here, the bearings are shot inside. You can always usually tell when a water pump starts going out because it'll start making this kind of noise. Just kind of a grinding noise. And as you can tell, this one here, nice and smooth. And there's no play in there at all. So that's how you can tell if the pumps are, water pumps are bad or good. So next step is put the water pump back on, put the belt back in. Let me show you what we got going here. Now I have the new timing belt on, pulleys and water pump. There's the new pulley there, and then the new timing belt. Now as you can see here, how I went ahead and lined up the belt. See, there's a white mark on the belt itself that marks with the pulley and the case, inner case part, and they all point up all in one line here. And same with the other side. If the belt does not line up, you can turn the belt around the other direction, just flip it, and it should line up. You know, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put this in after you take the tensioner loose on the bottom. It's also lined up on the crank down here. Let me turn the light on. Let's see here. So as you can see, that points at that mark there. So once you get the top and bottom lined up, you shouldn't have to mess with it too much as long as the timing belt didn't break. You just need to adjust it, but you will need to take loose, there's the new tensioner, but you will need to take these two bolts loose on the bottom of this tensioner where this goes in. There's one here and one on this other side, and in order to get to those, you have to take the AC compressor loose and the bracket on the side, which is not a fun job. We'll have to say that. That's been the worst part of the whole thing right there, is getting to that AC bracket in order to get to those bolts. There might be a Toyota part or something special to get in there and maybe push down on that tensioner, but you can't really get a good firm grip on there with breaker bars or anything else, so it really makes it pretty difficult. So that's one additional step you'll need to do. But after you get everything lined up and on there, which this thing was really tight, the other one was kind of loose because it was old and stuff, but I'm going to go ahead and stick the crankshaft nut back on here, and I'm going to rotate the engine several times to make sure we are in good shape. But according to everything here, we are in good shape. So that's what we're going to do next, and then we'll go and put everything back together and then start it up here. Alright, so we got her back together here. Just need to fill it full of antifreeze and everything, but everything is back in. So let's go ahead and fire it up and see what we get here. Good to go there.